Okay, so let's make something, instead of going into the wall, let's make something protruding out. So let's say I wanted to have, oh, I don't know, let's say a water fountain or something sort of over here. So I'm gonna start by drawing the shape of the water fountain on the wall, and I'll just use the grid as my guide, one of those wall bubblers. So I'm just gonna say that this guy is gonna be follow a pattern kind of like this. I'm just going to follow the grid for this one. You don't have to, as long as you're using the vanishing points, but I'm just going to use the grid lines that are there. And we're going to make this shape a little more complicated. So now what we need to do is extrude this away from the wall. So instead of going that way, we're going to bring our lines this way. And again, we're just going to use our 4 corners. And we'll just come away, and we're going to keep the ruler parallel to the grid lines, just in case these don't fall exactly on a grid line. And I'm just going to draw them out to, kind of, I don't know where I'm going to end them yet, so I'm just going to draw these longish lines. And I'm going to draw these two. Now these are going to be really shallow, they're going to be very close to each other. But that's okay. Remember that this part of the water fountain we're going to be looking up at, so we can't really see the top of this because we know our horizon line is here, so this would be above our eye level. That's something you want to just keep track of because it's easy to get confused. Now, we're kind of working backwards from the way we did this last week. So last week we started with a shape, and then we kind of extended it down to the vanishing points, and we could still do that. So let's say that the shape that I want for my water fountain is something like this. I want it to look like, here's the base, and I want it to do that, like have a little angle in it. And then here's the thing, and there's a little sprayer here, like that. So the shape of it looks kind of like a funny backwards L. So here's the back end of it. So what I can do is just decide where I want, how deep I want this. So I'm going to have it come out to here, and I'm going to now draw the bottom of that. So I've got that, and then I want it to come up to, say, here. Or actually, I'm going to do this off the grid just because, just to do that. So I'm going to make a point. I'm going to say that that L part comes up to here, and I'm going to extend this across so I get the back of that L. Then this is going to come out, and again, just keep yourself parallel to those lines. And now I'm going to decide how far out I want it to get. I think I can just decide, say out to here perhaps, and I'll get that angle. So here's the front edge of the bottom, here's the front corner of the top, and I'm going to connect those two things. So here's my, I don't have that shape yet because I wanted to make the height of it, so the thickness of it is going to be right there. So I'm going to just fill this in so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. This is the front edge, the shape of the water fountain. Right? So it's just like we did with letters last week. Okay, so now I've got this line here to show the thickness of this, but I don't know where that's going to end yet. So I have this, that's why I had to draw that line. And I'm going to extend that out, bring this around the other side. And now when I connect this point to the vanishing point, I will get the front edge of that. And now all I have to do here, there's nothing, this is a bevel. So this is one of those unusual circumstances where this is a line that does not go to the vanishing point, nor is it vertical or horizontal, but it's a construction element of the other things. So I'm basically started with a cube, and then I've cut off, I've decided that is the angle. I've just kind of randomized that angle there. And as long as I keep the other one parallel, it's correct in 1-point perspective. So I'd bring this down, just make sure that's parallel. Draw that line and make sure they connect at that corner. And that's that front edge, and we could erase this line here. So now I have the interior of this. Now what's missing is the thickness here. So I have a corner, so I'm going to connect that to the vanishing point. And that's going to go to there. And then this corner here. So even though this is a very small object, it still has to obey the rules of perspective. So the front edge of this is going to come down to here. And then where this intersects with that is going to be the thickness of it. So it's going to be slightly smaller. And there's that thickness coming out. Now we can't see, again, we can't see the top of this because it's above our eye level, but we can see inside here. So then what lines would we not see? We would get rid of this line back there because that's a hidden line. And that's it. Now we've extruded a shape here, and we could do this same technique for things like the board, like if you had a billboard, or a bulletin board or a cork board or something like that that came out from the wall, we could do that, or the molding around a window, and then any kind of detail that you want to put in. So we could add, let's say we wanted to make the tray in there. We could do that. We could use the ruler. We would have to follow the vanishing point to be a very small shape. And if we wanted to add, let's say where the water came out, the spout, again, even though it's very, very small, we have to go to the vanishing point and use the ruler for this. And we can create a little small cube like that. So anyway, that's how we're going to extrude a shape away from a wall instead of pressing something into the wall.